Welcome back to Desertwood Days, and I am Kathy Blaze, and I am here with author Virginia Nolan. Welcome.
I'm so pleased to meet you, Kathy. This is so delightful.
Such a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you.
So, and I wanted to thank you for bringing Loving Michael. Everyone has special needs.
And we certainly do.
Yes, yes. Such this is holds such a special place in my heart.
Yes, mine as well.
So, Miss Virginia, you're a teacher,
Yes.
an author, a wife, mother, grandmother, and you volunteer to help children with a variety of needs. Thank you for being a leader and helping our children. When you decide this, was this a career path for you?
Yes, it definitely was. I grew up in Bronx, New York, and my parents were both from Europe. My mother from Austria, my father from Germany. And education was always very important. And they made sure I had the best education that they could possibly give me. And so I always wanted to be a teacher. And I love working with children. And now in my retirement, I'm not teaching full time anymore, but I am volunteering. And I love to volunteer. And I volunteer here in Phoenix and Scottsdale, and I enjoy doing it. And this book, Loving Michael, Everyone Has Special Needs, is very dear to my heart because, do you want me to tell you about the book a little bit?
Yes, tell me about Loving Michael.
Well, the name Michael, first of all, comes from my cousin in Austria. Her grandson is Michael. And he was born with Down syndrome.
Oh.
And when I go to visit him, he is the most loving child. And once they attach to you, they attach to you forever.
That is so true.
It's wonderful.
That is so true.
And so my husband and I call over there for his birthday, and he gets so excited.
Oh.
Tante Virginia, Tante Virginia. He has trouble speaking, but he is just a wonderful person.
Oh.
And so therefore, I started working with Gigi's Playhouse, and I did a book signing fundraiser for Gigi's Playhouse here in Scottsdale at the Scottsdale Ranch Park, which was a family event for children with Down syndrome.
So before you, can we back up a little bit?
Sure.
Before you got to the book, even before Michael, had you worked with special needs children before?
Not per se, but I worked with children of all needs.
Okay.
From K through 12.
Okay.
And I loved teaching. I taught on Long Island, and that's where my career was.
I love that saying that all needs, because you know what, when people think of a child with special needs, they usually have a visual and they're pointing out who that person is. And when you're saying all has special needs, that means we all have special needs.
That's for sure.
So
That's definitely.
So I can't just say, oh, that child or that person has special needs, because we all have it.
It's exactly
And can
right.
you explain that in your words?
Yes. Well, we all have special needs, as you know, Kathy. And therefore, as you said, we look at a child and we see the negatives sometimes.
Yes.
But we need to look deeper and look for the positives.
Yes.
And we need to see where we can take that child or where we can take ourselves, because we feel certain things in our lives and we don't know how to handle it. So we have to look around and see where we can get help. Who can help us? How can we help ourselves?
Right.
Why is this happening? And we all have things in our life.
That is so true. And you know what? I love what you said that we all have, well, first off, we look for the negative,
Yes,
okay? But we all have something negative about us.
definitely.
We all have something positive about us, but we tend to want to point out the negative.
Yes,
And one thing that I love about special needs or having, I like to call it special abilities, is that sometimes when I'm visually impaired or hearing impaired, my other senses are on height, they're heightened. So there's other things that's working.
yes,
So while you pointing out that I can't hear, you don't know all the other things that I'm able to do at that point.
that's right.
So I love that.
Oh, good. I'm
I
glad.
love that.
I think you'll be inspired, or the people that read this book will be inspired to see that the negatives can become positives.
Of course.
And you just have to keep looking and looking until love emerges again.
I love that. But you know what? That's something that being a teacher
Yes,
is that we have to teach people. We have to teach, reach out and teach one another that this person is this reason, this way for this reason. A lot of time, everyone isn't raised around special needs children, so they don't know and they don't understand. A lot of children don't understand why Michael is this way or why Kathy is this way. So we have to teach each other and help each other to understand those things, what my abilities are.
so true. So
So,
true.
so being a teacher, you're able to help our children to understand those things.
Well, I keep trying. I keep trying and giving.
Right. And that's what it's about is giving. We live in a world where we focus on being perfect. Tell us about loving Michael and not being perfect.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit of how the story starts out. It's a young couple that falls in love, and they are thrilled to be in love and to be together. And unexpectedly, she gets pregnant,
Mm.
and they don't want to know the sex of the baby or anything about the baby. They're just going to have a wonderful baby, and life is going to be perfect. Well, the baby is born,
Mm.
and the baby is not perfect.
Mm.
And he loves this baby, and he knows what's right. And she has great difficulty handling this.
Mm.
And so this book talks about not only the special needs of Michael, but the special needs of the father,
Right.
the mother,
Mm.
the grandmother, and those around Michael. So it's more than just a child with special needs.
Right. And that's what, as a society, we tend to forget. We're so focused on the special angel that we forget everyone that's surrounding him that it's affecting.
Yes, and life is not perfect.
Life isn't perfect.
We'd like it to be,
Right.
and that's what we hope it to be, but it's not. So we have to see, how can we fix this? How can we make this better? And that's what this is all about.
With loving Michael, where how did you where did you start off with that when writing this book? Where did
Well, I write almost every day. I was a teacher for many years, and one of my favorite classes that I taught on the high school level was creative writing.
Mhm.
And you could write in that class. You could write about anything that you wanted to write about, anything that you felt deeply about. And I had set aside 2 chairs in the back of the classroom for 2-minute conferences for teacher to student
Mhm.
and student to student. So if you wanted to teach, if I wanted to talk with you and I was another student in the class, I would just tap you and go in the back of the room and they could talk quietly. And so their writing, their thoughts were coming forth, and then they would finalize one of their pieces every week.
Oh,
And so I love to write,
okay.
and I can write about any topic or any subject.
So how did you get started with loving Michael? What was your research like for that?
Well, I volunteered at Gigi's Playhouse, And I loved working with the children. I would get right down on the floor, and my husband would sit on the sofa and take pictures,
Oh,
and I would be there and working with them, and I loved it. So that was an incentive for me. I work with children of all needs, though,
yes.
of all ages and of all walks of life. So I think the variety of seeing that and seeing their potential
Mhm.
and knowing their difficulties, but how they can succeed and achieve success. And so I have the father, which I call Tommy,
Okay.
and he sees this baby, and he only sees love and wonder and joy.
Of course.
And this baby brings such joy. I take him from birth to about the age of 10. And you see all the things that happen in their lives
Oh,
and how they deal with it, and how little Michael learns and achieves, and how the father is right beside him and wants the very best for him. So I started doing research. Well, where, if you're born in Queens, New York, where would the very best education be, or courses, or how could I get the best help for my child?
right.
And so we started doing research, and I found out about the Judy Center in Hackensack, New Jersey, which is a little drive from Queens,
Right.
but doable. And so I have him move from Queens to Hackensack, New Jersey. And then we have to get him to the different programs.
Right.
So, the thoughts become realities.
Uh-huh.
And then I would go there and I would see what it was like. Gigi centers are all over the United States. And many people that I talk to don't even know that help is out there.
I am a mother of a special needs child, and that is a huge concern about knowing where programs are for your child to attend, location, and things like that. How do you see Gigi centers being such a benefit for parents with children with special needs?
Well, Gigi's Playhouse, there are over 30 of them throughout the United States. I believe it's almost up to 50.
Okay.
And we even went to one in Brooklyn, New York, to see what that was like and spoke to the director there. But because we are in New York 6 months and in Phoenix 6 months, we go back and forth. So Gigi's the one that I dedicate most of my time to.
Okay.
And there are so many helps out there. They're achievement centers, and they take them from pre-birth right through adulthood in training and courses and what's best for each individual child. It's a nonprofit organization, and there are many donations. I had a book signing where I donated all the sales of the books to Gigi's.
Wonderful.
And we met so many wonderful people that day. It was great. It was really wonderful.
Awesome.
It was a Halloween celebration. They came in costume. They were delightful.
Awesome. I'm looking at your poster, your book cover. How did you come about this?
Well, they moved to Tommy and his son, Michael, and his mother. They all moved to New Jersey. And in the backyard of this house that they're looking at is this telephone booth, which was an old telephone booth from New York City that they used to have on the streets. And the family that said, oh, well, my father was a fireman, and this was his one of the booths. He just took it with him when we bought this house.
Okay.
But we can remove it if you want to. And the father says, no, this will be just fine.
That's
and
perfect.
Michael sees this telephone booth, and he becomes a little superhero because he often tucks the back of his grandmother's dish towel into his shirt, and he flies around pretending he is a superhero because his father says, you are my little superhero. You are going to be just fine. You just need a little extra care. And that's where that vision. And the publisher was wonderful. The publisher is the Unapologetic Voice House, which is located here.
Okay.
And she said, well, what do you envision? So in your cover.
Right.
So I said, I see a red telephone booth,
Hmm.
and a father and a son running with a dish towel.
It was them.
It was them, yes.
Yes.
She said, "Do you want to see faces?" And I said, "No, I don't want to see faces."
Yeah.
Because it's dedicated to loving Michael. Everyone has special
Right.
needs. Is dedicated to all Down syndrome children throughout the
Right.
world, along with their loving parents, their caregivers who help them as they grow.
Can you read a little bit from the book for
Oh,
us?
certainly. Well, after the baby is born, there are some difficulties. He's jaundiced, and there's some cardiac problems. And the father is Tommy, and the mother is Janie. And a multitude of thoughts race through Tommy's head. Maybe we could name him after my deceased brother. I think Janie'll go along with that. Yes, I think she'll be agreeable to that. And I have to go ahead in time now and tell you a little bit about his brother, because his brother was killed in Afghanistan. And he asks if he could name the baby Michael after his deceased brother. So that's where that comes in.
Okay.
But the doctor comes in and the nurses, and they talk about feeding patterns for this newborn. Newborn feeding patterns can be unpredictable. I will need to give you information about feeding him. And Janie's thinking, unpredictable? Feeding my little one? This child with Down syndrome is unpredictable. And then goes on to tell about how you would feed this baby. And it said that you may want to talk this over with your partner and decide what you'd like to do. Breastfeed or bottle feed? And she says, will do, thanks. Then her thoughts come in. Will do. I can't believe I just said that. I can't talk to Tommy. He doesn't know how I feel. He's in la la land. Tommy is thrilled with this baby. His mechanical skills won't fix this. You can't just change the parts that are broken, as he's used to doing when working as a mechanic. I gotta get out of here. And I won't tell you any more right now. But she questions, why? Why did I get this child with an extra chromosome? Why? Why? Look at the odds. 1 in 690 babies born this way. 80% of the babies are born to women over the age of 35. I'm only 26. I could have won the lottery, but no, not me. I won the child with Down syndrome. Lucky me. How do I deal with this?
So, Miss Virginia, what are you hoping that loving Michael, everyone has special needs, is going to do for people in our communities?
Well, I really think it's going to show people that there is help out there. Gigi's Playhouse is just one of them. The NDSS, the National Down Syndrome Society, is another one. The Judy Center is another one, but I'm sure there are many, many more. And people getting to know other people with children of special needs will get help through that.
Right.
So I think treating him and with the challenges that he's faced with and the caretakers are faced with show that he can succeed, and he does succeed. So I think the negatives become positives.
They become positive.
And you will see it full circle. And the missing links along the way will join.
And you know what? It all comes with educating others.
Yes.
Is what it's all about.
Yes.
Is educating others, because when we, as we say, put people in a box, is what sometimes people will do with children or adults with special needs. We prevent them from excelling because we're closing them in. We're not allowing them to use their natural abilities because we think they're abnormal or they can't do it.
Yes.
So,
and they can.
Yes.
And they can. Singing is one thing, so they go around singing, and you'll see different episodes, because I take some of my real life events and I interject them into the story because it's fiction.
So what we have Loving Michael. Where do you see this going after you're done with Loving Michael? Are there any other plans for
People have asked me that. I'm thinking about it, but I'm not sure. They said, we want more. We want more. And I have many stories to tell. Um, Destiny is another one.
okay.
And but I write almost every day, so I don't know where it's going to take me. But I encourage people to write their thoughts. It doesn't even have to be a whole sentence, but whatever you think about, whatever your thoughts are, and you'll see where they flow.
You told us a little bit about Michael's mom and dad. Tell us a little bit about Michael if you're able to do that.
Oh, well, Michael is, he listens very well. And his grandmother plays a big role in this as well because she helps Tommy and she helps care for Michael. And Michael has trouble with speaking, so they do sounds with him and they blow bubbles and they do different activities. They put bells in the air and he loves the sound of the
How
bells.
old is Michael?
An infant.
Okay.
And they sit him up in a high chair and he's part of Thanksgiving dinner and he's part of different everyday activities.
Yeah.
So he's not a handicapped child in their eyes. He is a child that brings them great joy.
Of course. Of course. All children bring us joy if we're not looking at what we would say the negatives.
Exactly.
And just
right.
seeing that child as who they are. That
Right.
yes.
And his father buys him a camcorder for Christmas, and he loves the camcorder. And you'll see him in this story how the camcorder plays a big role and brings everything together.
Yeah.
Because he knows what's right and wrong. He knows what's good and bad.
You're right. So, Miss Virginia, where can our audience find you?
Well, I am on. I don't have my own website.
Okay.
Okay, but I am. You.
Are you on Facebook or Instagram? Can we find Loving Michael?
You can find Loving Michael, the book, at any bookstore.
Okay.
At any books, wherever you buy books.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay, awesome.
So.
Okay. Well, it was such a pleasure having you here today and learning about Loving Michael. Everyone has special needs.
Thank you so much for having me, Kathy. Wonderful.
And thank you for sharing your lovely book with us.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Thank you.
My joy.
And thank you for joining us here today at Desertwood Days, and we will catch you next time.